Welcome to the Legalpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Sager, founder and CEO of Legalpreneur Inc. As a serial entrepreneur and someone that works exclusively with small business owners legally protecting their business, I'm dedicated to covering common legal issues faced by business owners, providing you with the business knowledge you need to catapult your business's growth and showing you just how some of the world's most elite entrepreneurs have handled these legal and business issues themselves. In true attorney fashion, the information in this episode is not legal advice. This is for informational purposes only, and you should always consult with your attorney before implementing any of the information in the show. Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Legalpreneur Podcast. My guest today is Jeanette Carbajal, the spiritual business healer. And you guys, she reached out to me a couple weeks ago on Instagram because I was talking about dream bigger and how like my biggest fear is that literally there's 10 people in the audience. And she reached out and she was like, hey, let's chat about this. And I was like, you know what? I have no idea who you are, but I feel very called to say yes. So I did. And she was flipping amazing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have you on the podcast. So Jeanette, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for getting on a call with me. You're amazing. I'm so excited for the audience to hear from you.
Oh, Andrea, thank you so much for having me. Honestly, I'm happy that you leaned in and said yes, because like dream bigger is fucking going to be amazing.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So tell the audience who you are, how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so I'm the spiritual business healer because there's no other title that I could possibly have, because I'm all about business and I'm a healer, and the root of everything of what I do is rooted in spirituality. And how I got here. So I actually worked with Fortune 500 executive women before I started doing this, and they were either in the middle of a life situation, so I was a life coach for them, life situation where their health was in jeopardy, whether their own through a diagnosis or they were a caregiver. And all these entrepreneur women were super comfortable juggling 8 plates at the same time, and it usually was a diagnosis that kind of rocked them off their center. And after working with me for, a year to 2 while they recovered in health, they kept me on because of my spiritual business perspective and how I see everything as holistic and complete, that our health is directly related to our business, because sometimes we spend more time in relationship with our business and who we are in that way, especially as being like very focused women with big ass dreams in this world. And little by little, every single one of my clients told me, when you didn't heal me, you healed my business that was killing me.
Oh my gosh, that just gave me goosebumps. Like I literally have chills right now. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. So how did you first become a life coach? Like where did that come from?
Yeah, great question. I started off as being a inadvertent life coach. My friends always joked around, Jeanette, you need a website, askjeanettesomething.com, because you just are filled with like this juice of something. And then when my grandmother, my mom, and my dad were all in the hospital within 2 weeks of each other, I realized that I can't fix somebody, but what I can do is teach them how to get their power back. And so being a caregiver to 3 people under one roof, because I brought my grandma to live with us, I realized life coaching is the only way to help people come to their own answers so that they feel empowered to come to their own choices, their own conclusions, and ultimately not just feel in control, but be in control of their life, and to choose that next meal, choose that next step, choose that life goal, whatever it is. And becoming a life coach just like helped me do that for them, and then it kind of ran like wildfire.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So I'm guessing that you did healing on your own, because I don't know, like, was it having 3 very close family members? Do you feel like that, not a result of what, having too many plates going at once, but do you think there were some things that were not in alignment when that happened?
Oh, 100%. And I come from a long, long, long lineage of people pleasers.
Same. Maybe that's us both being Hispanic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was like, I didn't want to bring my grandmother home in the beginning. I was very reluctant. And then it was the biggest blessing of my life. But yeah, it was a long line of people pleasers, and every single person in my family was people pleasing. They were even people pleasing to a place where they would harm themselves. They wouldn't speak up for what they wanted to eat or speak up that their body was in pain because they wanted to just go with the flow, go to the next quinceañera or whatever.
Oh my gosh. So we have so many similarities. Okay, I want to dive into people pleasing because I don't know if I told you everything. I know I didn't tell you everything, but basically a year and a half ago left my ex-husband. Especially really the past year I've been doing more deeper healing work, and definitely within like the past 6 months I really started to uncover like my codependency issues and really diving in there. So I remember this one guy I was dating, he was like, Andrea, you're just a people pleaser. And I'm like, I just want people to be happy. And I didn't really get it at the time. And he didn't get what he was saying. Like, he didn't know that what he was telling me would have such a big impact on me. But I started diving deeper because what people tell me, like, I take it seriously. And so then I started digging into codependency and I was like, oh, this is what people pleasing is. Okay, I get it now. So how did you uncover this?
The way all people pleasers do, help somebody else recover from people pleasing, and then you learn it yourself. I mean, but honestly, like I got on this journey because I wanted to help somebody else. And while I was helping them, it was a mirror for myself to be like, oh, you need to look at these wounds too. This is a mirror reflection of your own life. So I'm guilty as charged. I did it first for someone else. And it was an awakening for me, truly an awakening. Then I started leaning on, my spiritual team, my own life coach, the people that were in my corner, and say, I want to get over this, but I want to get over it in a very healthy way. But I don't want to necessarily change who I was. Yeah, right. Like you're going to change who you are in all aspects of your life. And that's where I came to my first realization of what business healing was, because I did the work. I did ceremonies, I did journeys, I did all that stuff by myself with a team. And I was like, I'm not a people pleaser. I tell people what time they can come over, what time they leave, when I'm not available, when I am available, but it did not translate into my business. And I realized that people pleasing turns into devaluing our work if we don't heal it in our business. Because we could be so enlightened and healed or have a realization, but it's not directly correlated to our business. And our business also needs to have an awakening.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love this topic because what I've realized over the past 2 years, like whenever I say like over the past 2 years, like my going through my divorce and like flipping my world upside down, the more I work on myself, the more my business improves. And I think, I mean, you and I know, and hopefully the audiences will realize if they don't already, like it's a universal truth. Like you have to, and that's why that's why I wanted to put Dream Bigger together, because I realized, holy shit, if I'm having these huge breakthroughs and I didn't even know I needed this stuff, I know there's so many more other people that need this as well. So that like Dream Bigger is literally a culmination of all of my breakthroughs and transitions over the past 2 years. And so I'm curious, I know this is just, a short podcast, but I would love to hear how, like somebody listening, they're like, yes, like I'm a people pleaser. What do I do? Like, how do I even get started? Like, can you give us some tips?
Yeah. So like the simplest practice that you can do is like, I'm going to ask you, Andrea, how much cash do you have in your wallet? Cash.
I have like $1,000 right
Oh,
now.
amazing. Cool. So I want you to.
That's more than I usually have because I played poker on what's today? Wednesday? Monday night I played poker and I won quite a bit. So I
Yeah.
deposited some in the bank, but I left some. So yeah.
Amazing. Okay. So you have $1,000. So I want you to pretend as if every day the cash that you have in your wallet is your people pleasing reserve. So asking yourself, and most people have, when I ask them, they have less than $200, by the way, of cash in their pocket. It's just like really saying,
I normally don't
yeah.
have.
So if you have this like huge reservoir to serve, ask what percentage of that is for you? What percentage of that is for others? And for every deed, give a valuation for it. Yeah. Whether it's doing laundry for the whole family, say, I'm gonna pay myself $1,000. you know? Or maybe it's like you outsource it. I'm going to hire somebody to do it for me. But really using like a actual cash in the beginning to give yourself value for the things that you do, and then realizing when you've gone in the red, when you've overextended yourself, when you're doing like the work of 5 people in a day for 5 different people. So that's one way of doing it. One tiny simple way. Another way of doing it is to actually correlate it to your business. So I'm a business trauma specialist. I've coined it, trademarked it, all of it, because it is the most important thing. Because as we evolve and as we heal, our business does get more fluid and easier. But there's a whole nother quantum level that you can go to when you systematically heal the business. For example, somebody, let's say in a coaching space, okay, an online space selling a product, is your emails to people pleasing? Is how you're saying, contact me at any time, we are here for you? Is that opening the door for a can of worms through the business route? Do you have certain terms and conditions updated where you are giving power back to your clients and responsibility? There's so many ways of systematically healing the business so that you don't accidentally leak people pleasing through that way.
Oh my gosh, this is great stuff. I never thought about it definitely in the business way, and then like paying yourself for shit you do for 5 people. Like, yes, that's huge. Oh my gosh, I'm loving this right now. I'm loving
Yeah,
this.
and not a lot of people think about this. Like, I work with the elite and the billionaires of this world, and they've done it all. They have the amazing teams, the world class teams. They have world class therapists and healers. And then I can just see the disconnect of like where things are not in alignment. I was like, if you change these 5 things, you will increase your revenue by at least 20% because it will be in alignment with your highest vision.
Oh my gosh. I'm such a fan of the work that
Oh,
you
thank
do.
you.
What can you talk about without like giving away like who your clients are, breaking any confidentiality, but are you able to talk about like some big breakthroughs that you definitely had with clients, like without telling us exactly who they were,
Sure.
but like some things that, yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
so I had an amazing client. She is like fantastic. And she had $1 million launch and beautiful. Like, she has worked her whole life to get to that point to like have that huge launch and amazing. She was not working with me then, okay? So she had this $1 million launch. And then like 2 years later, she wanted to do that launch again. But this time she was working with me. And I told her, I was like, cool, you want to do the launch? Let's revisit it. Let's touch it. Let's like play with it. Let me feel into the energy. She's like, nope, just going to do it again. She did it again. This time it came up to a total of $47,000. And that is when I had to tell her about how most products, offerings, events, whatever it is, has a certain energy and a frequency for that one-time delivery. But it's almost as if, you and I got all the ingredients to make a cake on January 1st, 2022. And your friend's like, hey, can you make that cake again for my December birthday? And you use the exact same ingredients that are rotten. They're rotten now. They've been sitting there for months. So most people are trying to recreate, causing a business trauma, which is a launch trauma, and not realizing that their new energy needs to be infiltrated through it. So that's one way. So we then touched it again. We went through it energetically, aligned it. I'm not talking about energy work, putting my hands on it. I'm talking about like, is this still your voice? Do you still stand by these beliefs? How can we upgrade it? And she did $250,000 in a week from that transition. And then it's just, I think it's at $500,000 at this point right now.
That's incredible. And so when you talk about different offers or launches being at a certain frequency, can you talk more about that?
Sure. What excites you is what the collective needs. And if you are really excited about something and you're holding it for dear life and you're like, I want to get all the stuff ready, like you're literally suffocating it, that, the universe, whatever your higher power is, says, okay, you're not courageous enough to bring this forward, and gives it to someone else. Somebody else drops it, Have you ever had those experiences like, I was thinking about that, I wanted to do that, but somebody else did it first?
Yes.
So you're actually causing your idea to rot by holding on to it for dear life. And so I always say, when you have something that lights you all the way on, turns you all the way on, it is also what will turn on and excite the collective. So give it, deliver it now.
Ooh. I love that. Oh my gosh. Because last year is when I went on, I had been thinking about having a live event, and I went to Mexico by myself, my first solo vacation. I literally
Ooh.
booked it the night before. I was like having a panic attack booking it, but I was like, I have to do this. I have to go. And I booked it. And then there, oh my gosh, that was such an amazing trip. And there I was like, okay, I feel called to do this event. I feel called to write this book. I like all these things. I'm like, now's the time. Like it just came to me. And so that's how I know right now for me, like I, it just lights me on fire. That's why I'm doing these things, because I know this is what the collective needs. So I think I just need to feel into that more. I feel like personally, I keep a lot of emotions bottled in, and I don't let my excitement show a lot of the time.
Showing our emotions creates magnetism to the right clients. As much as like a very, stoic businesswoman needs to be at times, we got to reach in, pull the guts out, and splat it on the screen sometimes, because ultimately people want depth, and they'll pay for depth. They'll pay for that connection of someone who truly understands their depths.
Oh my. Okay, so do you know where that comes from? Like I mean I think it's just trauma from
Yeah.
growing up. And okay, so how do I heal that? From I'm totally getting like off like topic from the audience, but I think other people probably have this issue as well.
Yeah.
So how do I heal that?
Yeah.
Because I know this is something that this isn't the first time I have felt this. So, yeah.
Every single person in business has either been traumatized to a place of starting a business, okay, or people have, a lineage of entrepreneurship in their family that are traumatized from their experience, or when they started their business entrepreneur journey, they had some little traumas that actually completely veered them off the track of their ultimate vision because they didn't want to like be in pain. Now, everybody has business trauma. Just like we all have the little t traumas, big T traumas in our real life, business trauma is real and it can show up in a multitude of ways. So I would say first take the business trauma quiz on my website, JeanetteCarbajal.com, and you'll find the business trauma quiz there to find out what's your next first step. Because last time I counted, there was over 200. And just like any trauma, like hanging up a phone the wrong way can cause a trauma. Just the same way you do an exit conversation with a client can create a business trauma. It's about healing it so that you can elevate from it, learn and bring the lessons forward and have the best freaking business ever. And then if you want a scheduled healing, come to one of my retreats.
Ooh, I need to look into your retreats because I'm like I need more Jeanette in my life.
Yeah, so
Okay, so you also talked about having trademarks, and
oh yeah.
for the audience, she's definitely not my client. I just found out who she was like a week or two ago. So, Jeanette, can you talk about your legal protection in your business? Was this what somebody told you about, or were you like, I know this from the beginning. I need to get this done.
Yeah, so I had a business trauma that whooped my butt into shape of getting legal protection. So I was very generous with my love, overgiving, people pleasing, where I was asked to be on a Nobel Peace Prize team because
Wow.
of my perspective. And I didn't know when I signed up for it that all my IP went with it. So, and so I was like, okay, maybe this is an alignment with a greater good for all, and they're going to bring it to billions and millions. No, what happens is sometimes when you sell your IP, it gets smashed on purpose. So there's a part of me that's locked away somewhere that I don't get to touch. And after that, I wised the fuck up. And then I'm sorry, but I wised up and I did trademark. I think I have like 11 trademarks right now. globally.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear. Oh my gosh, this is why I love you. You're amazing. I mean, I think, and that's a lot of people do not begin protecting their business until they go through that business trauma. And I mean, better late than never. But I feel like, and that's why I feel like my mission in life is to educate entrepreneurs, because they just don't know. And that's why most people don't. Like, they just weren't educated about what needed to get done. And that's why my mission is to educate as many entrepreneurs as possible. But unfortunately, still a lot of business owners don't protect themselves until there's that trauma.
Right. And I think at the level that you and I are at, like NDAs is probably the most protection that we need.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
that also was a rude awakening, and realizing that I needed some really some really amazing NDAs.
Yes. Those definitely come in handy. I was watching, I don't know if it was a TikTok last night or maybe on Twitter, but I think somebody was talking about how celebrities, like, if they have more than a 2-minute conversation with you, you're signing an NDA. But I think a lot of business owners are getting, a lot of higher level business owners are getting there as well, just because you never know what can happen. And honestly, you have to protect yourself at every cost possible. Jeanette, this has been amazing. Before I let you go, can you please leave our audience with your number one business tip?
So this was inspired by a stripper.
Yes!
Don't dance for cash. So all you business owners out there, don't do what the other person is, doing out there on social media. Just because it's sexy, it looks sexy. A perception of us looking at something looks sexy, and we want to recreate it. Don't dance for cash. My husband says, you've never looked sexier than when you're most happy. And so when he said that, I realized, half of the strippers are not happy, but they're dancing. They might look sexy, but sometimes they're not happy. No offense, zero offense to strippers. Wanted to be one when I was younger, okay?
Listen, I've been to a couple of strip clubs, and I enjoy it because, I admire the confidence of the women up there. I'm like, I wish I had that confidence.
Yeah. So it's like, I wanted to be one, and I wanted their confidence, but I realized I could be sexy in my overalls gardening, because that's what lights me up and that's what turns me on. And so when it comes to your business, follow what lights you up and what turns you on, and dance to your own playlist. Show up in whatever movement and in any way possible. Don't follow what the world thinks is the right way. And usually that way is the traumatized way. And for female entrepreneurs, it's the masculine way. So tap into your own divine feminine and dance to your own soundtrack.
That's the best answer we've ever had on the podcast. I'm like, I don't even, there's nothing I can say. That's amazing. Jeanette, you are amazing. I have loved this interview. I have loved every moment that I've had with you. Now, you guys, we will drop her links and your business trauma quiz. That's the name of it,
Yes.
Right? Business trauma quiz. Go take that. We're linking her here in the show notes, her Instagram, everything will be in the show notes. Seriously, go check her out. I'm definitely going to be looking into her retreats and everything that she has to offer, because she is wonderful. Jeanette, thank you so, so much for this.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute honor.
In case you missed it, our flash sale for Dream Bigger is now over. That crazy good deal that you'll never see again, it's gone. However, tickets are actually now 50% off. General, VIP, whatever you want, 50% off. Get them now, because this event is going to sell out. I don't know when, however, it will sell out. We are so excited for this. We have Allie Webb, Danielle Canty, Pollyanna Reed, we have Chris Harder, Lori Harder, so many more big names that are going to be announced soon, so stay tuned. But for now, go get your ticket, 50% off, and get those rooms booked as well. I cannot wait to see you in Phoenix, October 5th through the 7th. Here at Legalpreneur, we're committed to providing a supportive legal community for all business owners. I know how scary the legal stuff can be. If you found this information helpful, I would be so grateful if you could share it with a fellow business owner. And quite frankly, it doesn't cost anything to rate, review, or subscribe to the show. Your support helps me reach more listeners, which allows me to support more business owners in their entrepreneurial journey. Have any questions or comments about the show? Feel free to drop me a line on Instagram. I promise I read all of the messages and comments. And if you want to be a guest on the show or know someone that would make a great guest, simply fill out our application form and a team member will reach out if we think it's a good fit. I'll see you in the next episode.